Hi everyone, it's Marieta from Immigration Bees. Thank you so much guys for tuning in. Today I have a special guest, Peter Kolat, aka Peter Polish, who is the founder of Immigrant Masters Unite Mastermind, and he is from Poland. Peter, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm so glad that we are doing this for the third time.
This is, I don't know what is going on, but yeah.
Right? But remember, we never give up, right? Like just like last
Right.
time, we couldn't figure it out, and then we made it happen. Anyway, so Peter, you are from Poland. Tell me, how did your story started? When did you move to US, and what was the reason?
So I moved here to United. By the way, Marietta, third time the charm, right? This is what we're going after. So I moved to the United States in 91. And if you know anything about Poland back then, it was a communist country. It was almost towards the end. That's when they abolished communism. So a little bit of backstory of why I actually moved to the United States was back in the 80s, my parents got divorced. And during the communism era, when you get divorced, they're not really supporting you anymore, right? So my mom, we were living in like a 12 by 12 room. That was our bedroom, our living room, our a kitchenette off to the side, my playroom, and the bathrooms were down the hallway like everybody used, public restroom. So when they got divorced, what ended up happening is we literally had no money. We're kind of on the street. So one of her relatives that was, I think, already living here, invited here on some kind of a visa. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but she came here and make some money, and we ended up living with my uncle for about 6 years. We lived there, and then in '91, she was coming on vacation to Poland, to kind of hang out with us and see us because she hadn't seen us, and it ended up being that she came to get me and my sister to come back to the United States.
Okay.
So yeah, she was like 2 weeks before we came here, and she's like, "Well, guess what, kids? You guys are coming to the United States with me." I'm like, "No, I'm not." She's like, "Well, yes, you are." And she's like, "No, I'm not." And before I know it, I'm on the plane. So that's how it was. And like I said on the previous video, my view of the United States was very interesting, and I think
Yeah.
we can relate to it because I looked at the United States as like palm trees, beautiful cars, like sports cars, beautiful buildings, tall skyscrapers, and beautiful women, right? And how did I get
Absolutely.
that? From Beverly Hills Cop, right? And
Exactly,
those
from
girls.
the Beverly Hills 90201, and I watched the same series, so that's how we got injected by this
Yeah.
US culture for us.
And
Totally.
then I landed in Detroit.
I know, what a disappointment, right?
Yeah. Well, what the
Oh
hell? There's a palm
man.
tree.
Oh man. Well, okay, so I can get it. Like, so you move here because your mom decided your fate, sort of, and then what happened next? Like, it was difficult because you were coming from completely different culture. You didn't speak any English. You felt obviously like an outsider. You could not, first, I'm assuming, relate to other people because you couldn't even speak. So it was a very challenging time of your life, right? And then I know that you studied architecture and you got your degree, and then like you started to feel that this is something you don't want to do. So tell us why. First of all, why you got the architecture degree, and then what happened after? Because obviously you are all about the mindset and entrepreneurship these days.
Right. Yeah. So the one of the big things that happened was, like you said, I mean, I came here and speak any English, so I was going from communist to democracy was a completely different thing, right?
Because the
And
completely different mindset.
mindset, yeah. I mean, because now back, if you, for those of you who don't know what communism really is, there is no opportunity, right? You as an individual, you do not have something that you can actually go and start doing on
Create.
your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no opportunity there. So when you come here and you see all of these different things, different entrepreneurships and businesses and all that kind of stuff, it's really weird. And then don't speak English. So I learned the English, got a degree in architecture, and one of the reasons why I got a degree because of my uncle's influence, right? I mean, he built his entire house back in Poland. So that was the influence. But as I started doing this, as I started working from 9 to 5, I quickly discovered that there was something more to that. I had this little bug in me that there's got to be something more to this life than just going from 9 to 5 o'clock and spending time in the office and doing something there, right? So it was bugging me. And so I started kind of looking for solutions. What's the reason? Like, started like exploring life. And I remember two books that I started reading, and I hated reading books up to that point, but I picked up two books. And the first one was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Mm-hmm.
The second book was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that book has completely shifted my mindset as far as, there is something more to this than working for somebody else. And I always had this kind of a bug in me because I remember when I was little, 8 years old, back in Poland, we used to catch field mice and sell it to tourists. So I was an entrepreneur back then, not the most, not the most, good entrepreneur because we're selling mice, right?
Yeah.
But
absolutely. But it was there in you. It was there definitely. Hidden in you. Yeah. Now, I understand what you're talking about. I read both of these books myself, and I know, obviously, from experience and also as experience, not just as a lawyer, also as an immigrant, but also entrepreneur. I know that, if you have a strategy, that's not everything to become actually successful. You have to combine the strategy with the mindset. And I believe the mindset is even more important than the strategy. And this is something that my audience doesn't understand. And I see that over and over again every time I talk to these people. And I see that they are missing the link. And the link is the mindset. If you don't have the mindset as an entrepreneur, someone who is willing to take the risk, you will never, ever make it in the United States. And you are an example of someone who actually transitioned from that 9 to 5 to entrepreneur full-time. And you've been through that, I'm assuming, that mindset training. And I know that you run the mastermind, so you got to have the mindset training. So what is your opinion on that mindset importance besides the strategy and besides the hard work and besides the persistence and obviously creativity if you want to create your own business?
Right. That is a really good question because I come across this all the time, especially like you mentioned, I have my own mastermind. What that means is like I have students who are in the group, right? And we coach and we help each other out and all that kind of stuff, right? And one of the things that is really important is first thing that I work with almost every single one of them is on their mindset. Because, and listen carefully because this is important, mindset is about 90% of your success. The strategy, the tactics, the little systems that you can put in place, that's only about 10% of the success because you can learn that stuff from other people. You can hire somebody to do that for you and all that kind of stuff, right? But if you don't have up here, right, if you don't have that mindset for what it takes and how you need to look at life and all that kind of stuff, you are going to struggle. You're not going to be able to make it. So as an example, if you have the mindset of, I can't do it, right? I'm just not successful. I'm just not that kind of a person, right? And you are basically creating your own reality. You are basically creating what you are putting out there. And it's, for some people, it's hard to comprehend, but I think, you're releasing your book and everything. And
Love is the law is happening.
That's right, it's happening. And listen, you're talking about the law, right?
I'm talking about the universal law. Let's just make it clear. The universal law, one of 21 universal laws, one of them is the law of attraction. But there is a quantum, the law of quantum field. There are a law of mirror. There's like so many different laws that are governing the existence. And by the way, it's part of the mindset if you want to fix the mindset.
It is. And because that basically tells you this, like what you are thinking about is you become. I always tell my students this one term, and if you ask any of my students, they'll tell you exactly what it is. And that is, where focus goes, energy flows. So what you are focusing on, what you are thinking about, what you are doing on an everyday basis and all that kind of stuff, that's where all of your energy is going to go towards.
And I need to add something on top of this, because this is super important, what you just said. What you think about, what you focus on, but there is a third element, which I think is the how would I say it? Is moving the needle, needle mover, is the feeling.
Yeah.
What do you feel when you focus on the energy on it, and when you think about it, what do you feel? Because that feeling is the fuel. That feeling will actually move the mountains if you know how to properly use it.
Right, exactly. Because and it starts with that thought. Because think about it. If you are constantly thinking that I can't do it, or this is too hard, or, a lot of that is basically limiting belief, right? But if you're constantly thinking about that, pretty soon your brain is very powerful thing. And if you ask the questions, like you said, why is this always happen to me, right? Like I have had this, my students come bring like, why is this always happening to me? I try doing this and try doing that and all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Your brain is going to give you the answer. And the answer that it's going to give you is based on your past experiences. And if you ask it like, why is this always happen to me? The brain's going to come up with the answer based on all the different experiences that you've had in your life. And it's going to say, well, because you are stupid, or you're not good enough, or you just, you don't know how to do it, and then goes down that rabbit hole, right? And now the feelings that you have are you're sad, or you're frustrated, or you are annoyed, or you go into depression, and before you know it, nothing happens.
Yes, absolutely. Now, that is so true what you said. And I want to give you an example. If people are coming from different countries, and these are people I work with, are entrepreneurs, and they obviously they need to invest in order to get the investor visa status and start a business. Many of them, I see they have an issue to believe that they can pull it off. And because of this, they just don't even go for it. They just freeze themselves, like they don't trust. And then I see that it's not that they don't have the funds, the investment fund. It's the fear of unknown. It's the fear of literally stepping into unknown and believing in yourself that you can pull it off. Many times they are comparing themselves with other people, and two things happen. One of them, either see the other successful individual entrepreneur, like for example you, and they feel like, oh, I'm inspired, or they are triggered. And if they are triggered, they rather suppress it, and they don't even go for it because they compare themselves with other people already living that American dream, and they feel like, how on earth could I pull it off? And they start talking about the other people. They are better. They are pointing fingers. Oh, but these people are lucky. You know what I mean? Instead of working on their mindset, taking their power back and realizing it's in you, and you need to make that decision, firm decision, that you're going to pull this off, you're going to make this happen, you can do it. So what do you say to people like that who constantly complain, compare with other people, and they just have this tremendous fear? Because obviously being entrepreneur in different country is challenging.
Right. It is. And it's a really good point, because, by the way, go girl, man, look at you. You get fired up about that.
Well, I'm dealing with this all the time.
Yeah,
it's like firing me up, because I'm like, people, you need to wake up. And these people I'm working with, or who want to work with me, many people don't even work with me. They do want to work. They need to change the mindset. And that's why I'm publishing my book. It's one of the reasons.
All right. Well, here's what I say to that. Remember when I said earlier in the conversation, I talk about where focus goes, energy flows. So when you are talking, like those people, when they talk about it this way, they focus on other people, right? It's, if you really think about it logically, that person, you'll see pretty quickly that what you are focusing on is what you don't have, right? What is not possible, what can happen for you. And you're focusing on how this person will have this, but you can't do that, right? And it's very kind of a negative kind of a thing, right? Yes. So what I tell those people is start surround, because one of the reasons why they're focusing on some other people, and they're like, a lot of times they're focused on their own environment, the people they're surround themselves with, right? Yes. And sometimes family, a lot of times, and this happens with, I see a lot of this with people who are immigrated. Family members, moms, dads, or cousins will say, well, you can't do that. You just go get a job, right? Yeah. And they will take you down. They will give you 20 different reasons why you can't do that. Yes. You got to surround yourself with people
who has done it.
What's that?
People who actually done it. People who walk that same path, and they are already there. So you cannot listen to naysayers. And I remember I had the same experience. I remember the time when I left United States. I left Slovakia. I was already a law school grad, and my classmates back then would laugh at me, like they're like, "You coming back in 3 months?" I said like, "No, watch me." And I stopped completely talking to everyone who would not support me on this journey, and just focus on me and my journey. And I was so convinced that it's going to happen, even though back then I had no idea how on earth could I possibly A, fix my legal status, B, become attorney in the United States, C, start my own business. These were like things that I could not even imagine. But what I did, I just took the next step, and I completely focused on my goal and my desire, burning desire to accomplish it. And I would not listen to these naysayers, because immigrants from different countries, they will need to face this challenge. Cut the other people of your life. If they are not supporting you, unfortunately, that's reality. And maybe later they come back, especially if they see you thriving. They will.
If you're thriving, they become your fans. Yeah. But
yes.
Listen, what I want you guys to hear, what Marietta just shared, what I heard her share is that she literally shifted her focus on what she was looking. She started looking, brought the power to herself, right? Yes. I'm going to own this, right? And part of it was like, I'm going to show you, right? So well, there was a drive that you had. And you started focusing and, looking at what's possible, what you can do, how you can go after this. And that has helped you tremendously in getting to where you're at today. The other thing is that I've heard is that people a lot of times, especially the people who have this negative view on life, they don't believe they have a choice on how they can look at it, because they look at it as just how it is. There is no other thing, especially if you look at media, right? There's 1 out of 1,000 stories is probably positive. Everything else is negative. Yeah. So by that, you get programmed like you don't have a choice on how you react to stuff or how you think and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'll give you an example. We just did an event in Alabama, and at the event, a gentleman, like at the end of the second day, I challenged the entire room to go and do one small thing based on what they were creating at the event, one small thing, and come back next day and do it with me. So this gentleman comes back the next day and he raises his hand that he did, and I went up and started talking to him, and he said that he goes, for the first time in years, I did not go off when somebody cut me off in the middle of the road. The road rage didn't come up, right? I said, that's very interesting. Why do you think that happened? He goes, well, if I really think about it, in that moment when the guy cut me off, I heard your voice, Peter, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to get mad. I'm just going to go about my day. And he made a choice in that moment to go and literally not worry about it, right? Not let it affect him.
Yes.
So he literally took the power to himself, and he started, he took his own power, and he's like, this is how I'm going to react. Absolutely. And I'm like, well, how was the rest of your day? It was awesome. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, do you get now that you have a choice on how you're going to react to different situations in your life?
Right.
You know what I do.
Either you're going to react or you're going to respond. And I really want to emphasize this because, like you said, we are being programmed. We are being programmed by the environment, by family members, people we hang out with, and the news we are watching, or whatever you are reading and watching, you are being programmed. And especially if you are making transition, you have to be very careful, because if you want to change the mind, and you need to change the mind and the habit, you need to reprogram your mind, not even conscious mind, but subconscious mind. Right. And I personally believe the best way is through meditations, because you are in alpha state when you actually can reprogram this mind faster, because it's very difficult to reprogram conscious mind. The conscious mind you can change, but the subconscious mind you cannot really reprogram in conscious state. You have to go to alpha state or theta state, whatever, to reprogram it over there. So many people who try to change, and like you said, actually, what is right now in front of me, that is making me feeling frustrated or even depressed or whatever, they feel overwhelmed. They need to make the change from A to Z. Instead of focusing on what is in front of you, you need to start focusing on the end goal in mind. And that's how you make the quantum shift or the leap. You need to have the end goal in your mind all the time, ignoring the reality what is. And that's why it's so important to cut the negative noise, because one time person tells you, oh, you cannot do it, that's going to impact you again. Like it's going to influence you. So when you're creating these new habits of thinking, reprogramming your mind, it's almost like you have to isolate yourself.
Right. And I'll take it one step further based on what you said, because there's a lot of people out there who will be negative naysayers, right? That try to
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're doing it is because out of their own fear. They're doing it out of the fact that you're doing something and they're still stuck in wherever they are. There's so many different reasons why I might be doing this. But one thing that I want to share is what's really important is that little voice that's in your head that you got to recognize that a lot of times it's starting to all this negative self-talk. That voice is you literally have to start training yourself to basically say, okay, like what I do with students is like when they have negative voice talking, like self-talk, right? Mm-hmm. I have them respond to it in their head. Well, thank you for sharing. Next, right? Because it's an opinion. And a lot of times people just believe it, that voice, because it's in there, it's saying it, it's the truth. That's how it is. There's no other way. And you literally have a choice whether you want to accept that voice or not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you can move forward. So just getting conscious of it, recognizing that voice, because a lot of people don't even know they have the voice. Mm-hmm. And if I stop for a minute and be quiet for a second, people will be like, some people will be like, well, what voice is he talking about? I don't have a voice. Guess what? That is the voice. That's
exactly the voice.
Right.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. Like be aware, be conscious every single day and train your mind again, train your awareness level on daily basis. And this is a lifetime, obviously, thing we need to do. It's just, you can't just stop one day and expect to change. So everything we're talking about here is super important if you are someone, whoever is watching us, who want to move to the United States, start a business. It all starts within. There are no exceptions. Peter and I are no exceptions. We've been through this and we know what we're talking about because of that experience, right? So, I mean, if these people who are watching us feel like, oh, this is, I'm going to use the word, it's crap, well, it's not crap because it's coming from us. And I feel like I do have the right to talk about this because I actually live the talk. You know what I mean? Like I've done it. And if someone challenged me, like, I'm like, nope, you cannot really challenge me because I am the living proof and you are living proof. So Peter, this is amazing. I love everything what we're talking about. So tell us more about your mastermind and what do you guys do there?
So the mastermind is, I created this mastermind specifically for immigrants because, as you know, I'm an immigrant myself, and I see a lot of that, what you just basically talked about, that happens in this community. You know what I mean? People want to, let's say, start a business, or they're entrepreneurs and they have a business and they're immigrants. So I created, like, if you think about the Think and Grow Rich book, mastermind is basically a group of people. So we come together and I, one, coach them, and two, we collaborate within 20 some other people to help each other grow, because one mind can come up with something, but if you have 20 minds in the same room, amazing things happen, right? So 3 times a year we get together in some kind of a location, and every single person talks about what's important to them, what they're dealing with, and the entire room helps them, right? And we, throughout the year, we communicate. We have our own calls and mini masterminds every single month, and we get together and help each other out and grow. And you'll be amazed what happens. I mean, marriages get transformed, not just business, right? Because we don't talk about, but business grow, marriages get transformed, people reconnect with their loved ones that they haven't talked for 20 years. People, I have one of my students who had this rash on her body for 3 years, I think. She's been dealing with it. She went to her own dermatologist. And in one of the retreats, we started talking about having forgiveness. Mm-hmm. We went through the process. I showed her how to go through the whole forgiveness process. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she went and did it. And 3 days afterwards, she sent me a text message saying, thank you so much. All the rash went away.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I believe.
By the way, people forgive.
Yes, right? Yes. And that's why, Peter, love is the law.
Yeah.
Love is the law. And that's the title of my upcoming book. And not that I want to promote, but I do. So people can pre-order. You guys go to MARIETA'S.com. You guys can pre-order. And if your people are watching, of course, they are welcome to pre-order as well. And then make sure to follow the instruction how to get the free PDF. It's extra bonus for people who pre-order now. They can start reading the book right now. They don't have to wait for the release date. Once you purchase the book, you go and follow the instructions. Everything is written down on the website. And yeah, I'm so aligned with what you're saying, Peter. And I think we should collaborate. Definitely, I see some collaboration happening because I'm planning the mastermind with this Love is the Law project as well. And we are totally on the same page here.
Awesome, very cool. Granted, you're not Polish, but hey, I think we can work.
Well, okay, great. So anything else you want to add at the end for people who are, thinking to start business in the United States? They are thinking to immigrate. They are thinking to, maybe use my investor visa service. Someone who is just thinking. And what will be your piece of advice, number one piece of advice to these people?
Well, it's funny because right before our call, I did a Facebook Live and I had this subject matter. I talked about believing in yourself and believe in yourself. And if you don't have that time where right now, currently in this very moment, you believe in yourself, borrow a belief from someone else who has been there and done that, who's out there, whether it's some kind of a person that you're following around, right? Whether it's your sister that believes in you or somebody, borrow belief somebody else. I will tell you, if you want, borrow belief from me, because what I know is when a human mind, when a human being gets their stuff together and doesn't let anybody stop them, right? Just keeps moving and doesn't quit, it keeps going, amazing things happen. So I will say it right now that if you were that person, if you keep doing it, I believe in you, and go for it and do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because that's what happens. That's why you're doing what you're doing.
Amen. And I'm going to add to it and get the book, Love is the Law, because the book is going to uplift your life completely.
Love is the law. I feel like I'm hugging people now.
Yes, guys. Love is the law.
Yeah.
You got to get the book. Get the book, guys, because love is the law. Peter, thank you so much. Has been pleasure, as always.
Of course.
And
love it.
And guys who watch us, you can totally stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Make sure to check out, there is going to be a playlist linked to this video. You can check out the playlist of other motivational entrepreneur immigrants. And of course, if you have any question, comments, you can leave them below. And if you're watching me on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Bye, guys.